the holidays. Hello, friends and clients of JLW Immigration Law Group. I am Jennifer Walker Gates, here today with our lovely associate attorney, Elsa Guerra. Hi, Elsa.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Doing fine. It's really close to the holidays, so this is our last live Q&A of 2024. I am really looking forward to having some time for rest and recharge because we're going to need that in the new year. But also really grateful for everything we've been able to accomplish this year. We've done a lot of live Q&A this year, a lot of content for our audience. We've had great successes with our clients. Our firm has a wonderful new attorney. I'm so excited to have you. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that aspect of the holidays. How about you? What do you have planned for the holidays?
I am definitely gonna be with my family. Hopefully, eat some tamales, eat some menudo, eat some good food, and recharge. Yeah, I can't wait to come back and fight and be here for all the people that need it.
Yes. So I was hoping today we could talk about how, as the next administration unfolds next year, as the next year unfolds, how our viewers can put themselves in the best position to be able to, legalize their status, continue to move toward their immigration goals, keep their families together and safe, and really just continue to have the best possible stability and security in the United States.
Yeah,
That's what we want for them. So we were looking together at the five, or you were sharing with me the 5 points from the Immigrant Justice Coalition, and I was hoping that you could share about those, and what are you seeing from that organization about their recommendations?
of course. I think it's very important just because a lot of my consultations kind of are asking about a preparation toolkit or what they should be doing to prepare for the new administration. But the first bullet point talks about just in general seeking legal consultation from a private practice attorney or a nonprofit organization. There's so many, especially in the state of Texas, that are so willing to, have consultations with you guys to talk about your status and your family and yeah, how to prepare more individualized consultations. So that's the first thing that I think is important to do is just to consult with an attorney to talk more about your case. The
For
second,
sure.
yeah,
And not a notario, right? This is where, especially as things get complicated, having an actual licensed attorney who is, has a professional license that is on the line if they don't give you correct advice. That is really valuable in a moment where you want excellent and trustworthy information.
yeah, I completely agree. I think that's a good idea. The second bullet point is about creating a safety plan. And that entails creating a list of your emergency contacts, preferably someone that has status and can reach out to an attorney if you are detained. Memorizing some of their phone numbers, I think that's also important just in case it comes to that point. Getting a daycare or just providing your child's school or daycare with an emergency contact to pick up your child, whether that be an aunt or someone that you really confide in to take care of your children. Um, Also providing authorization in writing for your emergency contact to make medical and legal decisions for your child. I think this is very centered around children. Um, yeah, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think for those of us that have kids, that's our most important priority. Usually, for our clients, their kids are the whole reason that they're in the United States in the first place. And so, obviously those folks are really going to prioritize kids, but there are other assets as well. And I do want to clarify that we are also creating a safety planning kit that will be available on our website in the new year, where people can download it and subscribe that way to our newsletter. Our newsletter is going to contain a lot of additional, more specific information and advice for our newsletter readers also. So it's also a really good idea if you can go to our website, send us an email through the email form. You'll get subscribed to our newsletter. You can unsubscribe anytime if it's not valuable, but we do provide very specific information for people there, and helpful, hopefully, information through our newsletter. But in addition to your kids, somebody needs to be able to like get into your bank accounts. Somebody needs to be able to get into your home, and get access to your belongings. Someone needs to be able to pick up your paycheck. And we're talking about emergencies where like you're sort of incapacitated. Maybe you're detained. Maybe you've been removed. If you have a prior order of removal, it is going to become more risky under the new presidential administration than it has been under the current one, in terms of them actually effectuating that order of removal. So your planning, if you have an order of removal, is going to look a little different from people who don't have one already. If you've never had any immigration contact whatsoever, like you've never applied for anything, you've never had any contact at the border, your planning might look a little different than somebody who has a case in process, etc. And then there's overlaps between those people, right? So it is really important to get clarity about your particular situation and exactly what steps you need to take. So having that consult is the most important step, I think. And then making plans through, for all of the things that are most important to you, according to what you learn about what's likely to happen if you are detained, if you are arrested, if you are pulled over, what's likely to happen. It's going to vary a lot depending on your particular circumstances.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
And go for it. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying in that same avenue or same thought process, I think getting your documents, getting your birth certificate, or whether that be your consular card, just having that in a safe place, easy access, so that your attorney can, if need be, if we need to prepare a case for you while you're detained, those cases usually go pretty quickly, correct?
Yeah, they can. I mean, they can go quickly if the person is getting removed, especially if they have a prior removal order. For people who, even if you have a prior removal order, the law still says that you are entitled to have an appointment with a judge if you have a legitimate fear of returning to your country because of persecution or harm that could be brought against you if you're returned. So it's important to express that, yell it out loud at the officers repeatedly if necessary, because the standards for that are getting higher as well. They're not going to ask you necessarily, hey, how do you feel about going back to your home country? You're going to have to say, I'm scared. I will be harmed. I could be killed. I could be tortured. I could be whatever if I'm sent back. And so it's important to let people know that affirmatively if you are detained. And that's the reality of kind of what we're looking at in the next administration, is a higher likelihood of detention and being placed in removal proceedings. Now, some people won't get the opportunity to be in removal proceedings if they've already been removed before. But if you haven't, you might be put in removal proceedings. And then again, you'll need an individualized assessment to know what that's going to entail. But in general, you're going to need your documents in order. You're going to need a fund. You're going to need some money for that. It's a big expense. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll be deported. It can be a good thing in some situations, actually, but it is important to be ready. Planning is sexy.
Very hot.
Very hot.
I agree. Especially, I'm in detention. A lot of people haven't been in detention. They don't know what they need, or they forget that, yeah, it's really important to have a fund, or just, some money put aside just in case, a safety net per
Yeah.
se. Another bullet point that I forgot to mention under the collect your documents is the documents that show the length of time that you've been in the United States. They recommend the most recent 2 years, such as income tax returns, utility bills, school records, bank records, and make sure, obviously, your emergency contact does have access to those documents.
Yes. Yes, those are really good to be able to avoid the likelihood of an expedited removal, which the law does say that for people who have been in the United States less than 2 years, those folks have fewer rights than people who have been here longer. So it's important to be able to establish that you have longer than 2 years, if in fact you do have longer than 2 years. So yeah, a couple of past tax returns, a couple of years worth of accounts or school stuff. Those are really helpful. Not to necessarily carry with you at all times, but to collect and have ready to go in case, just in case. Hopefully, you'll never need these things. Hopefully, it won't be necessary. But again, planning is sexy.
Exactly. I agree.
Yes.
Back to actually what you were saying about notaries, the fourth bullet point is avoid immigration fraud. So only seek legal advice from an attorney or an accredited representative at the Department of Justice that is recognized like a nonprofit organization. Is that what that means?
Yeah. So nonprofit organizations get accredited by the Department of Justice to provide immigration legal services. And notarios don't, right? Like people who just are individual, kind of doing it if they're charging money and earning a living, they're not accredited as representatives. If they're a licensed attorney, then they have a different accreditation and a different recognition from the government to be able to provide that legal support and legal advice. But it's best to go with people who do have that kind of licensure that is at stake, because your life is also at stake. So you want that person to also have some skin in the game to make sure that what they're telling you is true and correct and not serving just their own personal interests.
Yes. And I think notary fraud happens so often, you guys. I think it's very important to just I know it might be a little cheaper, but I just think it's a lot safer to just consult with an attorney to see what your options are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's worth the investment to protect your future. So we have a couple of comments and questions that I do want to emphasize. We speak English and Spanish. Hablamos español, inglés. And so we're going to answer questions in the language that they're written. If you don't speak English or you don't speak Spanish, no problem at all. We are happy to help in either of those. I wish we spoke lots of other languages, but those are the two we have to offer for you today. So bring us your questions and let's see how we do. Okay, Omar. Buenos días, abogada. Tengo recibos de visa U y ya hice huellas, pero mi pregunta es, tengo una orden de deportación en ausencia. ¿Qué pasará con el nuevo presidente que me recomienda? Muchas gracias. Muy buena pregunta, Omar. César, ahorita las políticas de migración son de que si una persona tiene orden de deportación en su ausencia y también tiene una visa U, no les deberían deportar. Pero durante la administración de Trump anterior, vimos algunas personas en esa situación que sí fueron removidos. En mi opinión, sería muy buena idea, si es posible, actuarse rapidísimo ahorita para poder borrar ese orden de deportación antes de que entrara el próximo presidente. Dependiendo el estatus del caso, es posible que puede terminar, reabrir y luego terminar la orden de deportación. Elsa, tú tienes experiencia reciente de esto, ¿verdad? Que una familia ¿Nos quieres comentar de eso?
Sí, creo que sí, es súper importante entregar una moción para reabrir tu caso. Usualmente sí tienen éxito cuando tienes la visa U, pero la verdad depende en cada caso. No podemos garantizar, pero usualmente una visa U es buena base para reabrir un caso.
Sí, en en el caso que tú tienes, esta familia, no tienen orden de deportación en su ausencia, sino caso de deportación, pero el juez dijo que como hubiera ya recibido su determinación de buena fe, que estuvo de acuerdo en terminar el caso, ¿correcto?
Sí, ajá, sí. Esa determinación de buena fe es buena indicación que te van a aprobar la visa U. Entonces muchos jueces son más simpáticos esos tipos de casos. Entonces sí, es buen caso para cancelar su deportación y también reabrir un caso.
No sería mala idea, Omar, si tienes la posibilidad de hacer consulta con un abogado de confianza, tratar de reabrir y ya terminar esa orden de deportación lo más antes posible, porque bajo la próxima administración es posible que ya no va a ser como la política que ellos están manejando. Vamos a tener que ver, no estamos seguros, pero la última vez no era claro qué exactamente iban a hacer en cada caso, pero vimos algunos clientes, no clientes de nosotros, sino de otros con visa U que todavía fueron deportados. So, vale la pena investigar, en mi opinión. Okay, we have Chioma Embor saying hello. Hi, Chioma. If you have a question that you would like to post to us, we would be happy to respond as best as possible. And Elsa, what do you think about people who have a pending case? Maybe they don't have any negative immigration history except perhaps one unlawful entry, and they're in process to try to get their status through a family member or something like that. How are you advising those clients right now about preparing for the future?
If they're in proceedings, I think a really good thing to do right now before we jump into the new administration is ask for prosecutorial discretion. I think that, if you can get out of proceedings now and adjust status through a family member, we just don't know what's going to happen to prosecutorial discretion, and they might take it away. I think it's really likely.
Yeah, they did last time.
Okay, see, you guys work with an attorney. I think a lot of cases can be, if you don't have any negative factors, any criminal history, if you've been here for a while, it's a very good case that's more than likely going to be dismissed by the judge.
Yes, if you do have some means of getting status and you are currently you haven't gotten prosecutorial discretion yet, it's a great time to ask for it as soon as possible. So I don't see any follow-up questions from Chioma. Thank you for being here, Chioma. And Omar, gracias por su pregunta. We are really glad to have been able to answer questions with y'all on our channel today and all this year. We look forward to doing it more next year. And I hope everyone has a safe and relaxing holiday. We will be back first full week of January, I would imagine. I don't know that date exactly yet, but we will be back on Wednesdays at noon or Thursdays at noon if Thursdays are better. Oh, there we go. There's Chioma. Thank you for sending your question. My husband and I want to go to Nigeria to apply for K4 visas for my children. Do you think it will be approved? Oh, Chioma, it's very, very hard to answer a question that is a complex question in a forum like this. We can't say for sure whether we think it would be approved or not. K4 visas should be approved if they are qualified for the K4. So if you entered on a K1 or a K3, then your children should be eligible for a K4 as long as they're minors and unmarried. However, we would want to look very carefully at all of the factors and make sure there's nothing that would interfere with that approval. Um, in my experience, also, you don't need to go to the home country necessarily to apply for a visa. You can file for the visas while in the United States. And then, depending on your own personal immigration status, maybe you can also travel. Um, if you have lawful permanent residency, you are permitted to travel to your home country most of the time. There can be exceptions if you received asylum, but yeah. What do you think about that question, Elsa?
I actually don't have a lot of experience with K4 visas, but
Yeah, K4s are great for families the where the one of the parents entered on a K visa, either a K1 or K3, which can vary depending on whether they entered as a fiance or a spouse of a U.S. citizen. So yeah, there are a lot of factors to kind of explore, Chioma, and I would want to definitely dive in carefully and look at everything, turn over every stone and make sure everything looks good to go. But depending on your own immigration status, you may be able to travel. One thing a lot of lawful permanent residents need to keep in mind is that you are allowed to travel as long as you are not an asylee who is traveling to your home country. That can cause complications. And as long as you don't remain outside the United States for longer than like 6 months at a time, is a general rule. There can be exceptions and you can go longer, but 6 months is a really good rule of thumb to keep making sure that you're spending at least half your time in the United States. So, as long as those requirements are met, I wouldn't see any problem with you traveling. But again, travel isn't required to apply for a K4. So I hope that clarifies at least a little bit for you, Chioma. Please do reach out to us if we can help. Our contact information is scrolling along the bottom of the screen. If you go to our website at jlw.law, you can schedule an appointment with me or Elsa just by clicking the schedule appointment button. Or Jackie or Sandra. Jackie and Sandra are our other attorneys. You can schedule with them as well. Or you can also call our office at 512-633-1785, and our team will be happy to help you schedule an appointment. So we would be happy to help you do that. We would be happy to look into your case, make our best recommendations to get your family reunited as quickly as possible. And with that, I think we can call it a day, call it a year. Elsa, congratulations on getting to end of 2024.
yes, I want to wish everyone happy holidays. Everybody stay very safe. And please don't hesitate to give us a call and make a consultation with us so that we can help you with your immigration status.
That's right. Thank you so much, everyone. Take really good care. Happy holidays. We'll see you in 2025.